One day, a divorced college professor crossed paths with a stunning young student, and from the very first meeting, she felt an intense attraction. She desired her deeply, and against all odds, she managed to make the student fall in love with her, though how it happened remains a mystery. But then, an unexpected turn forced them both to leave the city and college, and the reason behind their sudden departure will leave you stunned. The story starts when Professor Evelyn Carter sat at her desk in an empty college classroom when a knock at the door broke her thoughts. She turned to see a familiar face, Sophia Monroe, a 24-year-old student with a striking beauty that made people pause. Sophia had been in Evelyn's advanced literature class for nearly a year, always sitting in the front row, always attentive. She had dark wavy hair that framed her soft features, and a pair of deep green eyes that carried an unspoken sadness. "Professor Carter," Sophia said, her voice gentle, "I was hoping to talk to you about the essay you assigned." Evelyn gestured to the chair across from her desk. "Of course, Sophia. What's on your mind?" Sophia hesitated for a moment before taking a seat. "I feel like I'm missing something in my analysis. I wrote about forbidden love in Wuthering Heights, but I think there's more to it than just passion and tragedy." Evelyn leaned forward, her interest piqued. "Love isn't just about passion and tragedy. It's about longing, about choices, about what we're willing to risk. Sometimes, love demands sacrifice." Sophia studied her professor with an intensity that made Evelyn's breath hitch. "Have you ever experienced that kind of love?" Evelyn's lips parted slightly, but no words came. Her divorce had left her with a wariness toward love. Yet, as she met Sophia's gaze, something stirred within her, a quiet longing she had suppressed for too long. The conversation shifted back to literature, but the air between them was different now, charged with something neither of them acknowledged. Days turned into weeks, and Evelyn found herself looking forward to her moments with Sophia. Their discussions stretched beyond literature, dipping into philosophy, art, and life itself. They met outside class too, sometimes at a cozy cafe near campus, other times in the library where they'd lose track of time discussing books. One evening, as they walked through the nearly deserted campus, Sophia suddenly asked, "Have you ever been in love, Professor?" Evelyn hesitated. "I thought I was once." Sophia tilted her head. "Your ex-husband?" Evelyn smiled faintly. "Yes, but looking back, I don't think it was the kind of love we read about in books. It was safe, expected. Not the kind that shakes your soul." Sophia stopped walking, turning to face Evelyn. The streetlight above cast a soft glow on her delicate features. "Then what does that kind of love feel like?" Evelyn's breath caught in her throat. The way Sophia looked at her, curious, searching, open, made her heart pound. "It's consuming," she whispered. "It changes you." Sophia took a step closer. "Then maybe I've never been in love either." Silence stretched between them, thick with unspoken words. And then, as if drawn by an invisible force, Evelyn reached out and tucked a strand of Sophia's hair behind her ear. It was a simple gesture, but it sent a shiver down her spine. Sophia's lips parted slightly, and for a moment, Evelyn thought she might do that thing with lips, but instead, Sophia whispered, "Good night, Professor," and walked away, leaving Evelyn standing there, heart racing. Their connection deepened after that night. They spent more time together, their touches lingering, their conversations filled with unspoken emotions. One evening, as rain poured outside Evelyn's apartment, Sophia showed up at her doorstep, drenched and shivering. Evelyn pulled her inside, wrapping a warm blanket around her shoulders. "Sophia, what are you doing here?" Sophia looked up at her, eyes glistening. "I couldn't stay away." Something broke inside Evelyn. She cupped Sophia's face gently, her thumb tracing the curve of her cheek. "Neither can I." Sophia's lips trembled, and in the next moment, they both did that thing. It was unlike anything Evelyn had ever felt before. Sophia tasted like rain and longing, and Evelyn never wanted to let go. Their love blossomed in secret. They spent stolen moments together, late-night conversations, gentle touches, whispered confessions. But as their bond grew stronger, so did Evelyn's fear. She was a professor. Sophia was her student. If anyone found out, everything could fall apart. One evening, as they lay tangled in each other's arms in Evelyn's bed, Sophia whispered, "Do you ever think about what happens next?" But their time together was cut short in the cruelest way possible. One morning, Evelyn arrived at the college to find Sophia missing. She wasn't in class. She didn't answer calls or texts. Panic settled in Evelyn's chest like a stone. Then she found the note on her office desk. "Don't look for me. It's safer this way." Evelyn's hands trembled as she read the words over and over again. What did Sophia mean? What had happened? Desperation clawed at her. She searched everywhere. Sophia's apartment, the library, every place they had spent time together. But Sophia was gone, vanished without a trace. And Evelyn was left with nothing but a cryptic note and a love that had just begun to bloom. Comment below. Where are you watching this story from? The story continues as Evelyn sat in her dimly lit apartment, staring at the note in her hands for what felt like the 100th time. The words blurred as tears welled in her eyes. "Don't look for me. It's safer this way." The meaning gnawed at her, twisting in her mind like a puzzle she couldn't solve. Had Sophia left willingly? Was she in danger? Days turned into weeks, and Evelyn found herself spiraling. She barely ate, barely slept. She combed through every memory, every conversation, searching for signs she had missed. But there was nothing, no warning, no explanation, just an empty space where Sophia used to be. Determined to find answers, Evelyn started her search. She reached out to Sophia's friends, classmates, even her landlord. Most had no idea where she had gone. But one friend, a quiet girl named Lila, hesitated when Evelyn questioned her. "Please, Lila," Evelyn pleaded. "If you know anything, tell me." Lila bit her lip, eyes darting around. "I don't know much, but a few days before she disappeared, Sophia seemed scared. She told me she might have to leave suddenly, but she wouldn't say why. She just asked me not to ask questions." Fear tightened around Evelyn's chest. What could have frightened Sophia so much? Evelyn's next clue came unexpectedly. Late one evening, she received an email from an anonymous sender. The subject line read, "Stop looking." Her hands trembled as she opened it. The message was short and chilling. "She's gone. Move on. It's for the best." Panic surged through her veins. Someone didn't want her searching for Sophia. But Evelyn was never one to back down, especially not when it came to the woman she loved. She decided to go to Sophia's old apartment one last time. She had been there before, but maybe she had overlooked something. The place was still vacant, a ghost of its former warmth. As she searched through Sophia's things, a small notebook tucked under the mattress caught her attention. Flipping through the pages, Evelyn found notes, fragments of thoughts, hurried scribbles. And then, on the last page, her heart stopped. "If something happens to me, it's because of him." Him? Who was him? And what had he done to Sophia? Evelyn's mind raced with possibilities. Was it an ex-boyfriend? A stalker? Someone from Sophia's past she had never spoken about? With renewed determination, she started digging into Sophia's history. She scoured social media, university records, anything she could find. Then, a breakthrough. An old news article popped up in her search. It mentioned Sophia's estranged father, a man with a criminal history, someone who had disappeared from her life years ago. But the article also mentioned that he had recently been released from prison. Evelyn's blood ran cold. Could it be? Could Sophia have been running from him? She had to find out. The next morning, Evelyn drove 2 hours to a small town where the article said Sophia's father had last been seen. She checked into a motel, trying to steady her nerves. If Sophia had run here, maybe someone had seen her. She started asking around, bars, diners, gas stations. Most people shook their heads. But then, at a rundown cafe, an old woman hesitated when Evelyn showed her a picture of Sophia. "I might have seen her," the woman admitted. "Couple weeks back. She looked real scared. Kept glancing over her shoulder. Didn't stay long." Evelyn's pulse quickened. Did she say anything? Where she was going? The woman shook her head. "Just paid in cash and left. But she wasn't alone. A man was with her, older, mean-looking." Evelyn swallowed hard. "Did she seem forced?" The woman nodded grimly. "I'd say so. But she left a napkin behind. Scribbled something on it." From behind the counter, she pulled out an old napkin with a single word written on it. "Help." Evelyn's stomach twisted. Sophia was in trouble, and she was running out of time. With a newfound sense of urgency, Evelyn continued her search. She followed every lead, piecing together Sophia's last known movements. Eventually, everything led her to an abandoned house on the outskirts of town. Her heart pounded as she approached the creaking door. The air smelled of damp wood and dust. Inside, the house was eerily silent, shadows stretching across the floor. And then, a faint noise, a rustling from upstairs. Evelyn's breath hitched. She forced her feet forward, and Evelyn was left with nothing but a cryptic note and a love that had just begun to bloom. Comment below. Where are you watching this story from? The story continues as Evelyn sat in her dimly lit apartment, staring at the note in her hands for what felt like the 100th time. The words blurred as tears welled in her eyes. "Don't look for me. It's safer this way." The meaning gnawed at her, twisting in her mind like a puzzle she couldn't solve. Had